400 students from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology fear being homeless due to accommodation funding problems. Students residing in buildings owned by the Gold Buffalo student residences received eviction threats from the landlord, claiming that the university owes them money. But the institution has distanced itself from the matter, saying contractual agreements are between the landlord and the students. Meanwhile, NSFAS says it hasn't started paying for accommodation. eNCA's Nobesuthu Hejana reports.
We are all NSFAS students there, meaning none of us have money to get another accommodation. And now if we leave this one that we applied for, go NSFAS, we can't get another one that NSFAS can pay, because NSFAS only gives us one chance to apply for a private accommodation, and if you leave that private accommodation, everything else is on you.
These students from the Cape Peninsula University of Technology are staying in this private accommodation in Cape Town's busy Long Street. They say they had no other option after failing to secure accommodation provided by the institution. This student hails from KZN and applied for accommodation last year before the closing date in October, but the process has been dreadful and his application is still pending. He's among the 370 students who fear being homeless.
CPUT did recommend these residents, but they didn't do a proper inspection. That is it possible for students to live in such conditions? They didn't do that. That is why I'm saying the school doesn't care. As long as the students find a accommodation, even if it's in bad conditions, they don't care.
This message was shared with them by the residence's manager on Wednesday without prior notice, and they were told that CPUT owes the landlord a minimum of 5 million rand and therefore they won't be allowed back into their dorms.
I wanted to know, ask them like, sir, how come am I evicted when I don't owe you anything? And how come you don't give us a notice? Like, because by law, he's supposed to give us a 20 to 30 day notice for us to find an alternative accommodation.
In a written response, the institution says it cannot get involved because the agreement was between affected students and the landlord. CPUT says they never accredited the accommodation. It adds the landlord also failed to submit documents on time, which resulted in the accommodation missing approval processes from NSFAS. The landlord agreed to an interview, but at the last minute sent this. NSFAS says it hasn't paid accommodation funding yet.
Currently, NSFAS has got no direct contractual arrangements with private student accommodation establishments. The current situation is that NSFAS would pay the university for tuition and accommodation for that NSFAS beneficiary, and then it would be incumbent upon the university to pay itself if it is offering the accommodation. But if the student resides in a private place, because the university shall have accredited and graded that particular accommodation establishment, then the university is expected to pay.
For now, these students have been told to stay put, but they worry that come Tuesday, and if no amicable resolution is reached, they will be forced onto the streets. Nobesuthu Hejana, Cape Town.